for a really heavily male-dominated industry, it's like the middle school, like, girls, lunch table, because it's just constant drama, constant shit.
What made you okay or realize that not every customer has to be your customer?
First year in business when I said yes to everything. Jealous of that kind of hair.
Dude, I gotta be honest with you. This Monday has been a complete shit show. So nothing to be jealous about over here. Welcome back to another episode of the Mission Control Podcast. It's your boy Mike Stearns, Sun Digital Agency, bringing you this great show. We're delighted to have Drew. We'll get more to that in a minute. Proudly sponsored by the team over at Roofer. If you need roof measurements, clean and pristine proposals, instant roof quotes. I mean, if you want your customers or future customers, your prospects to buy from you, click the link below. You'll see it in the description. Also, they're a great team. Drew Paetow with Best Exteriors, Inc. Welcome.
Hi, Mike.
How are you?
Good, man.
Good.
I should have worn my Ascend shirt, so I killed two birds with one stone.
Oh,
I know.
We talked about this in the green room. You owe me a picture in the Ascend shirt, and
We do.
I will not
I
soon
do.
forget.
I do.
So I'm gonna put
Don't you worry.
I'm gonna put you on a drip campaign where you're gonna get daily reminders via email and text if I don't get that fucking picture soon. So.
Hey, man, they work. Those drip campaigns work. We'll get it done.
I got a question for you though. What did one wall say to another?
Ooh, I'm a dad joke aficionado, and I don't know this one.
I'll meet you in the corner.
I thought you were going to say, like, I'll meet you in the middle or something. That's a good one. I like that. Well done.
Yeah, so
well done. I like that.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to queue up an applause here. Apparently that's not working, but it's par for the course on this Monday.
Mike's having technical issues today. So
yeah.
If the quality's bad, it's all him.
But listen, the content's going to be fire, so make sure that you tune in from start to finish. We will deliver. It'll pack a punch.
Which is all that matters.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is all that matters.
So you had mentioned when I told you I'm going to put you on this drip campaign, which I will if I don't get my picture.
Mm-hmm.
You'd mentioned that type of stuff works. What kind of, within your company, what type of stuff are you guys doing to provide a better experience, get better results from things that you're doing in-house?
Oh, man. I feel like this has kind of been the year for us to kind of stop chasing like the bright, shiny things and just really kind of focus on what works. After like at least 3 times of actually trying to like put it into place, we finally got rolling with dope marketing. A little while ago, I would say probably 4 or 5 months ago, and that's been really, really good. We're starting to get calls from that. We're starting to get people like, "Oh, I've seen you. Like you're in the neighborhood. You're really." It's a really good brand awareness thing. So that's been really, really working well. And I like the way that works. I like the way that it shows up, and I don't have to do too much. It's very easy, which there's not too much that in the life of a roofing contractor that is easy, but that really was after it's like up and running. It's like, oh, okay, cool, nice. So that's been really good. We use a catch-all on every single one of our roof installs now. That has been really, really good. Some people, I always try to ask if we can set it up the night before. Just leave it, and if you leave that there with your logos and just all set up in someone's house covered, because it kind of looks like like a hazmat situation.
Yeah.
The neighbors text right away, "Hey, what do you got going on? What's happening? Everything okay?" And it's like, "No, we're getting our roof replaced tomorrow." That's huge. Now, It's pretty rare. A lot of people don't like you to do it the day before, but if someone's gone out of town, or hey, I'm just going to set up these couple parts right here and just leave these off to the side, and then in the morning, guys will finish closing it off. You know, that's really worked well for us, and that gets you um, some nice buzz in the neighborhood. Which, you know, it's I had a customer, potential customer the other day. Hopefully, he's a customer. He he kind of he was very successful in his professional life, and he kind of he put our world into a very simple sentence, which was, hey man, you're selling a service that people need, once every 20, 25 years. And you got to be memorable, you got to stick out. And I was like, wow, that's very, I'd always kind of known that, but to hear a customer say it and
Right.
recognize that, it's like, yeah, we do, we gotta be different. We gotta stand out. We have to be more memorable. And you know, then him and I talked about branding and stuff that works. What we do. It was the most enlightening customer meeting that I've had in a long, long time. And he gave me some really, really good ideas and some stuff that he used, like I said, in his career. And many of those things will be implemented here. Once we can kind of pick our spot. So that was, I don't, at this point, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd love for him to, choose to work with us, but he, he, I got more out of him than we can, than we could really put a price tag on. It was really eye opening and like, okay, cool, like a consultation almost. Like I'm supposed to be here talking to you about what you
Right.
need, and you're over here telling me everything that I need to be doing. So that was cool.
Yeah, that's awesome, and I'm glad that you brought that up because I don't know. It reminds me of like shit that my parents would tell me 100 fucking times when I was a kid, right? And then, I would hear it at school from a teacher, and it just meant something different. Hearing it from somebody who was
Yep.
just unbiased, I'm like, and I come home and
Yes.
it comes full circle now because like I have a daughter, and
Hmm.
she's like, oh, I learned this. I'm like, you learned that? What? Who taught you that? It's like I've been telling you that for
Yeah.
7 years. Um,
Yeah.
but it's crazy, like the
It's definitely.
affirmation of somebody on the outside, like what that can do, like psychologically, to make something click or to make it more valuable to us sometimes.
Yeah, and to just hear someone say, you know, to just put everything in a nice little nutshell and be like, hey, you're selling something people don't need every day. Like you're not McDonald's, you're not the grocery store, you're not even a car wash, you're not even selling a new car. Like you're literally like you're gonna come in, tear my house apart, leave the same day or the next day, and then no one's ever going to see you again, barring anything catastrophic for, like I said, 20, 25 years. So
Right.
that was really eye opening. And to just hear someone else say that, I'm like, do you have friends that are roofing contractors? Like, how did you just like encapsulate this whole business? Well, I started researching stuff. And so I'm sure he was on the, you know, I'm sure when he, Googled roofing contractors, he wasn't just looking at reviews. I'm sure he was uh, consuming consuming content somewhere along the way. So
Yeah, and I mean, I think there's different customers, right? And their
for
buying
sure.
behavior is not all the same. Like we like to sometimes paint a picture of like this is our avatar, this is what our customer looks like, and this is how they're going to behave. But
Hmm.
like it's a spectrum, and the way people are going to interact with your brand, other brands, and things like that are going to be remarkably different from one person to the next,
For sure.
even if they're the same age or the same gender, they live in the same area. So I always like to plan for
Everybody's
all of
very
them,
different.
do everything we can to accommodate everybody, and then just cross our fingers, right? Just
Hmm.
hope for the best.
Well, you just kind of, you're right. I mean, you always say, you don't want to be all things to all people, but for us, like, you kind of have to be all things to a lot of people, or many things to a lot of people, pardon me.
Yeah,
And, you got to try and check off as many of those boxes as people have. But, there's some people, hey, we can't help you.
yeah,
Whether it's I meet you and it's like just not the type of person that we want to do work with, or if it's just not the right situation, or they're not ready yet, or whatever the case may be. But you're 100% right. Not everyone is your customer, but not everyone's a good prospect either.
Well, what's the best way to turn down a customer? What's your line? So you meet with me. I'm a homeowner, right? Hypothetically, I'm a
Mm-hmm.
homeowner that
Yeah.
calls out best
Yeah.
exteriors, and you just get like
Yeah.
the worst vibes. I start asking questions that you probably don't love. Things like
You
what is
come outside.
a
You come
labor?
outside with a. You come outside with a clipboard.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
when I get that. It's
First red flag, clipboard. If you're listening to this and you're a homeowner, don't bring a fucking clipboard to the meeting.
it's okay. It's okay. I'm all for organized questions. Don't get me wrong. But when I see the clipboard, it's like, damn.
Yeah.
But
So if I'm a customer, you come visit me, and the first question I ask
mm-hmm.
maybe is something like, "What's a labor only price?" I've got the materials. I mean, maybe that's something that would turn a contractor off. Maybe not. I don't know. But if
we don't mess with that. Don't mess with that.
if that's the case, right, and then you immediately get the sense that like this is not somebody that I want to work with, how would a contractor put that in a way with tact to where I don't go blast you because you made me feel like an asshole because I'm not the right customer for you?
Right. I just feel, Mr. Stearns, like our services just don't align with what you need right now. I can refer you to X and Y and Z.
Okay.
And I don't, I know it happens to us on occasion. I never do it. I'm a huge, monumental believer in karma. So, like, I never send a bad referral or like a bad lead to one of my main competitors. Like, I seem to go up against a lot of the same people a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't, you can't talk shit about people.
Yeah.
It's a super small world. And even back when I worked for GAF, me and my coworkers used to always say for a really heavily male dominated industry, it's like the middle school, like, girls, lunch table, because it's just constant drama, constant shit. And so, like, I never play in that sandbox. For me personally, I just don't do it. So, um, I have certain competitors that I am very, very, very friendly with. We trade work with each other, not trade. I refer them to people if it's like a good job. If I'm too busy, or I know, um, if I know it's like right up their alley or something like that, I have no problem. We will refer someone so that the customer gets the best experience, right? Because at the end of the day, that's really kind of all it's about. Um, so for me, that's really big. But I also know there's certain people that they'll work cheap. They'll take a labor only job. They'll do one slate repair on a church steeple or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of get to know who those other competitors of yours are, so that you can refer those guys out. And like I said, I hope that when the time comes, if someone wants to refer us to something, whether or not they call us and say, "Hey, I came from so and so," but I think as a contractor, if you obviously you're not going to say, "Hey, listen, I can't work with you. You're asking too many questions, or you already have shingles or whatever." You can't do that. But what you can say is, "Hey, listen, I just don't think that our company lines up with what you're looking for right now. Um, I don't think we're in a position at this very moment to help you. I suggest you call X and Y and Z." So even now, like when we get phone calls of, the person that needs, 1 foot of fascia board replaced, an hour away or something like that, it's like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I'm not your guy, but here's who to call." And I feel like if you're at least helpful and you're positive and you have a good tone, and you're, showing them that you want to help and that you want to care, even though your company's not the one doing the work, I think that goes a long way with most people.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's you're exercising goodwill, right? Because even if you're not in the position
Sure.
or you don't necessarily want to take that job at that moment, you're still providing them some sort of solution. You're showing that you care enough, not just like, okay, fuck it, I'm out. I mean,
Right.
I do the same thing with Tim Brown and Hook Agency, right? Like,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
I'll take it a step further, and I'm like, have you found any of this stuff helpful? Like, because there's usually like a preliminary call, and maybe it's something where there's a conflict of interest where we're maxed out in that market and we can't take them. I'm like, you know what?
Right.
Company that I actively refer people to is Hook Agency. They do great work. And you know, after that conversation, I'll ask that prospect, like, have you found anything that we've talked about like helpful? Like, yeah, absolutely. Okay, would you mind sharing it on Google? It's an opportunity
Yeah,
for a review, right? Because you are providing
for
value,
sure.
right? And I think that. Let me ask you this: have you always been okay with saying no to people, as it relates to your business?
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
What made you?
100%.
What
I
made?
mean, go ahead, ask your question. I think I know what you're going to say,
Yeah.
but
What made you okay or realize that not every customer has to be your customer?
uh, that first year in business when I said yes to everything, no matter what it was. And it wasn't until, I'm, you know, painting a fascia board in my garage the night before a gutter install, and I'm like, holy shit, I can't do this. Like, I gotta get real defined on what I can do. And don't get me wrong, the subcontracting crews and the folks I have that are on my team that work with me, and they're great. And I believe that a lot of guys can do anything. And there are many contractors in my area who have, I think there's one guy here who's got, I've heard, I don't know, like 15, roof repair techs on staff. Like, that's ridiculous. I don't think there's that many repairs out there. Maybe there are, maybe there aren't, but that leads to a lot of guys, ripping butts and sucking back coffee at, 11 o'clock because they're done with their day. And good for them, but, I think you gotta say no to some stuff because there's so much out there that you just don't want to get involved in. But you only realize that when they're not, you know, when you only realize that you need to say no once you're in a position of being like, oh my God, I don't know what to do here. Like, how do I, and there's been some times where you just take a job and you just know, like, okay, I'm going to really not make a lot of money here, or hopefully the neighbor comes out and I can sell them something because I'm not going to make it here. But that first year in business, like, you learn a lot about what you want to do, who you want to work for, and you learn about what your capabilities are. And once you learn what you're capable of, or what you feel comfortable doing, that usually sticks with you. So, you know, uh, yeah, it was a tough learning experience for sure.
Well,
And you gotta.
it starts with fear. For me, in my business, when I started my business, the evolution is crazy, right? Because I was initially fearful that, okay, I just took a leap of faith into myself. I'm starting this business. I got to make as much money as possible, right? So I don't have the luxury of saying no to anybody. But then you quickly realize when you
Mhm.
start saying yes to everyone, you're like, holy fuck, I can't afford to say yes to everybody, right? And like you said, now you start narrowly
Yeah,
defining, like, who is it that I can say yes to? Who is it that I should say no to? How can I say no to people without being an asshole and make people hate me? Because just because you're not a good fit for our company doesn't mean you're not a good fit for somebody. Just because there's
or
guys.
that you're not a bad person.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
exactly.
can't. Sometimes it just doesn't work.
Right. And like you were mentioning, there's guys out there that'll do a slate repair, or they'll go paint 3 feet of fascia. And there's different companies that can serve different customers, and that doesn't make them less of a company. It doesn't make it anything other than just a
No.
fit, right? Yeah,
Right.
and I was baptized by fire in the first year for sure. Wearing 15
Hmm.
hats and running around with my hair on fire, trying to figure out how I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, because I decided to be like, yeah, we can
Hmm.
do it. We'll figure it out. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no doubt. No problem.
Yeah, for sure. Why not?
And it did, and they didn't end up manifesting as problems for the customers. They were just problems for my sanity, right?
Right. And for your sleep rhythm on your
Yeah,
on
yeah.
your watch. Yeah,
What is
exactly.
REM sleep? I haven't had that in a long time. Yeah, I
Exactly.
gotta
Who
start.
are
I
you?
gotta start
Who are
saying
you?
no. And I think that that's something that was really impactful, and I think a lot of people will struggle with that if they're opening a business, right? That desire to obviously drive up revenue as much as you can, make as much money, For that sense of security, right? That we all want to be able to provide for ourselves, our families, and what have you. Um,
Right.
but
But I think that's also why a lot of people, um, you know, I don't want to say don't make it, but a lot of people kind of fade out or get kind of pigeonholed into doing certain stuff because, it's really hard to say no. And I mean, when I came in, I was pretty blessed because I had so much industry knowledge and really just I kind of knew already what it took to be successful, but still, you still have to do it and
right,
you still have to make sure it happens. But there was so much of the unknown and the person where it's like, damn, I probably could do this, this stupid, put gutter guards on someone's house right now and not have to get my subs involved and I could do it myself. And, I could, buy this stuff and I could take all the, take the profit at the end of the job, which, that stuff goes through your head because that's the goal. Right. But at the same time too, it's also like, did I set the ladder up the right way? How much experience do you really have and
right.
how comfortable are you doing those things? So,
Yeah, no, I agree. So you previously worked with JF, right? What
yes.
was your role
Yep.
there?
I was a territory manager, so it was my job to go and call on roofing contractors and help them build their business and uh, get them to register extended warranties. But it was really to yeah, baby, it's a real deal. But it was also to grow the business, grow the brand, be there for people. You talk about wearing a lot of hats. I mean, when you're uh, that was a really good uh, that was a really good place to learn a lot about multitasking because
Mm,
there could very well be a phone call that comes in because a truckload of ice and water shield became available, or it was a contractor calling you with a material complaint, and you needed to have an answer like right then and there for them. So that part was great. Like I said, I learned a lot, and you go into some of these companies and you see the good, the bad, and the ugly. You see some people that are really not, you know, going to do things the right way, and then there's other companies you walk in and it's like, oh my god, like these guys got it together. Um, so yeah, there were some definitely some a lot of takeaways from my time there, and made some great connections, great friends, great people, and learned a lot, and it was really good while it lasted.
yep. But now I install Owens Corning. No, I'm kidding. Do you install GAF?
Certainty, actually.
Really?
Cer- no, hey, listen, I have I got a great rapport with the Certainty rep in the area, and they helped me really get the ball rolling and get the business get a good partnership together from like day one. So that was really good for me. We've had no issues, no quality issues, no problems with anything. Knock on wood. Um, Word. And now don't get me wrong. If a customer says, "Hey, I really want this shingle on here," no problem. You
Sure.
can have whatever you want. I don't play favorites. I make a suggestion. If someone wants something else, I'm more than happy to install anything. We are certified with GAF, so so I can still differentiate when that customer wants that specific product. I can differentiate myself and offer them a different warranty, and still keep on top of what's available and what they're doing, and make sure that at the end of the day, make sure the customer's taken care of.
I like that. That's good. Good for you for forging that relationship, and I'm glad that they're looking out for you. In 45 seconds or less, explain to me and young contractors what they should be looking for from a manufacturer to help them along in their journey.
Um, so if I'm a young contractor, I gotta first like the product. Like so try it. Buy a roof of Owens Corning, buy a roof of GAF, Certainty, IKO if you want to, whatever the case may be. But find a brand that you like, that you feel comfortable with. Check them out. Make sure it's a good fit for you. If you're going in and you're just trying to be the cheap guy and you're not interested in differentiation, you know, you could probably spin your story to be whatever brand you want. If you're only working off, insurance proceeds, then, you know, the brand that you offer is, if you're not going to try and upgrade people or do certain things, the brand that you offer isn't really the best. So find a shingle that you like, number one. Find a product that you like, find a full system, et cetera, et cetera. Make sure your distributor has it. Make sure your distributor can get it. Those are obviously very important. I realize I'm already going over the 45 seconds, but the other thing is reach out to the territory managers for the different manufacturers. Interview them, basically, like, hey, what do you have? What tools do you have to help me? Everybody has a lot of different things, whether it's good, better, best, whether it's extended warranties, whether it's gimmicks, whether it's sure nail strips, whether it's hey, our 3 bundles of our shingle are a true square, whatever the case may be. Everyone has their thing. Like I said, see which one fits and works best for you and your company, and then ask for help. Hey, how can you help me? You do this every day, Mr. Territory Manager. What's worked for your biggest customers? They if they're smart, they'll give you generalizations. They're not going to give you they're not going to give you the keys to to what the big dogs in the market are doing, but you can theoretically put on a lot of the same stuff that some of these other companies are doing and do a lot of the same things. Sometimes you may even have the same subcontractors as some of them, and you can really differentiate yourself by making yourself look as professional as humanly possible in those situations when you're with the homeowner.
Are you into role play?
What are you asking me? Yeah. Yes, we can.
All right. Why don't you be a territory manager for a manufacturer, and I'll be a year one roofing contractor. And let's say I'm finishing up my first year, and I did $1 million in revenue. I had a good first year. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So Drew, we're here at Mike Stern's Roofing. We're looking for a long-term strategic partner that's going to be there for us, that's going to grow with us, right? Because we feel as if you guys are it. However, at the same time, it's my obligation to my company and my staff to make sure that I'm making decisions that helps them and the company as well. So
benefits everybody. Yep.
Yeah, right. Truly one of those relationships where everybody wins. And I want to know, what can we do as far as like, hey, we're looking to increase our marketing. We want to do $3 million next year. So we want to do more marketing, more advertising, more brand awareness. And I'm just curious as to what we can do as far as maybe having you guys help us contribute with it, because I don't know much, but I feel as if the more squares and shingles that I buy from you, the better off it is for you, the better off it is for more customers that we install them for, and the better off it is for my pocket. So I feel like everyone wins there. Is there something that you can do to help
everyone wins? Yes, absolutely. Let's talk about the certification program. That'll give you a leg up against Joe Roofer. And it adds to your level of professionalism. So at the end of the day, when Mr. and Mrs. Smith are sitting there with 3 to 5 estimates, and you're one guy is down here, and you're in the middle, and then there's whoever else, and they're pick a number, $1,000, $1,200 a square, whatever the case may be. You're able to get that job, and just based on professionalism and being in this program. So with that, you can offer extended warranties, which again gives the homeowners better peace of mind and protection, knowing, hey, you have a full system of integrated products on here that's going to give you a 50-year labor and material warranty that's transferable to the next homeowner. We as a company have gone through training. We've been vetted by the manufacturer, so we've been trained. Our insurances and licenses have all been vetted. So, we have, basically, a multi-billion-dollar company backing us up. And I don't know about who else you have in here going through. Uh, I don't know who I'm competing against sometimes, but I feel like that's a pretty good tool in the home for you.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I could see how that would be very valuable, especially when it comes to the consumer making a good decision and
Right.
how that would help us.
So
I
let's also talk about the marketing that you were asking about. When you're certified, you have access to all these different tools, and we can help you with your websites. We can recommend different things to you. We can put you on a postcard campaign. We can give you pretty folders to put your materials and things like that into. We can we can help you with a membership through NRCA or
mm,
all those sorts of things. So there's a lot of different stuff out there that you have access to and availability to.
Awesome. Yeah, I have a buddy. He's been in business for like 3 years now, and he's doing pretty well. He's like 5 or 6 million, but he works with another manufacturer. But essentially, what they did was they put together like a tiered system as far as like marketing and advertising, to where based on
Hmm.
the purchase volume of shingles, they were going to contribute X amount of dollars to like his marketing and advertising. Is he bullshitting me, or is that something that you guys could help with?
Are we still role playing here?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Let me get that hat back on. Absolutely, we can help you with that. Let's set up a program. Let's work backwards. Let's base it on your goal. If your goal is 3 million, 3 million is probably going to be somewhere around 125, 150 roofs ish. So let's work backwards. Let's figure out how many squares you did, and yeah, we'll set up that campaign. And every time you hit a different gate, you get more from us. And if you can get you all the logos and all the things like that, and get you really where you need to be in terms of your marketing. Having that consistent message, but hey, I need to see our company logo on your stuff when that time comes.
Yeah, I got this
So,
marketing
so
guy.
you
He
have an
said he said something about brand guidelines, and they would follow the brand guidelines. I don't know what any of this shit means. I'm just a
Yep.
roofer, but I would pass that
No,
along to him.
that's
And
cool.
yeah,
Perfect. Yep. Everything would be cool then. Just ask that if we come to you with a uh, if we come to you with an opportunity or with a hey man, I need you to do X and Y and Z, let's talk about that. You're also going to be held to a certain standard of you're not going to be out there cutting corners, taking deductibles, doing things unprofessionally. Like, this is a professional program and it's going to be treated like such, otherwise we don't have a place for you.
okay, yeah, and I mean I think that's fair. I promise to do my paperwork on my warranties very quickly. I'm gonna make my wife do them. She's
There.
super excited about it, so we'll get that squared away,
She's
and we'll.
excited about spending all that money. Yeah, I got it.
um, yeah. So one other thing.
Everybody always used to be super excited about, oh yeah, we're gonna register all these warranties and every homeowner's gonna get one. Man, I was like pulling teeth. But
Yeah,
now we're not role playing anymore, but we'll get it done.
now we're back to role playing. One other thing that's important to me is I want to be like at the top level as far as like
Mm-hmm.
accreditation with your manufacturer. I think that's super important.
Okay.
My buddy, he works with a different manufacturer. He's like a platinum or some crazy metal. I don't even remember what the metal was, but he's at like the top,
Yep.
and I think that there's a lot of credibility associated with that. So, like, what does my path to that look like with your company?
So there are here it is. It was always written out. It's always written like the manufacturers always have that.
Hmm.
We sometimes can fudge around it. To my fellow roofers, they sometimes can fudge around that. Sometimes they can. Sometimes they can't. It all just depends. But anyway, back to our role play. You have to be in business for a certain number of years. And one of the things that we used to always look for back in my day was a track record of success. So you're either successful uh, using using our products or with another manufacturer's products, and it was pretty much that you were kind of committed to the brand. And I mean, just like the shingles, like you were purchasing the accessory products and you were doing all those sorts of things to, again, you know, uh, there's an incentive for us both. I don't just have a shingle plan. I have an accessory plan. I have a warranty plan. So again, you help me with my plans, I'll help you with your plans. And that was the way that I would kind of hopefully find the right people that would get us to where we needed to be on my end, and that's what we can
I like that. Now we'll hop out of role play. I think that I think
do.
sometimes
PTSD from that.
PT I've been a part of a couple of these conversations.
Yeah.
This is how I look at it. I'm just a marketing guy, right? I work closely with my clients, and I've been a part of these conversations. And like I was working with one manufacturer with them, and like they weren't committing to like a gate system as far as like what they're like. We don't do anything like that. I'm like here, like, and from my
Then adjust.
yeah, exactly, right. And I'm like, you guys have to understand, like they're a very large company and they're investing, right? And if they have X amount of dollars to invest into one market, right, that's going to get divvied up, and it's probably going to go to the people that bring them the most. Like it makes sense, right? So if you're like a younger
Right.
company trying to prove yourself, you have to make them feel compelled to invest into your company. Otherwise, they'll probably give it to somebody else. But like
Yeah.
the way
Yeah.
that we approached it was like, okay. So number one, like our year-over-year growth for this particular client was fantastic over 3 years, right? They were still a younger company, but the year-over-year growth was fantastic. He had very good data in his CRM as far as revenue, profit, gross, net profit, right? And as far as like marketing mediums, what channels were actually driving traffic. You know, we touched on like the lifetime value of him as a customer, him being 33 years old, and like how long he plans to be in that market versus
Yeah,
somebody.
that's a young dude. That's a young dude. You got to jump on that.
Right. So like we're just painting a picture as far as all the different value propositions of like investing into a younger company, right? Because it just makes sense. And after 3 meetings, the conversation changed, right? When we started talking about like the cost per acquired lead, the cost per acquired job, and how we have a very proven process as far as marketing and advertising, and how we just want to scale that, and we wanted to leverage them to help that, and how it's going to benefit everybody. They got considerably more as far as a commitment, and it wasn't just like, hey, submit this and we'll do what we can, right? Because that's the easy out that everybody wants, is like non-committal, we'll do
Yeah.
what we can, because you can't hold accountability to that, right? Or you can't hold that accountable.
Yeah. Like now again, I haven't worked there since 2020, so I don't know 100% how things are going,
Sure.
or how things go now. Um, but if there is definitely a, hey, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. We'll do, if you're doing, 5,000 squares, you're going to get this. If you're doing 7,500, you're going to get this. If you're doing 10,000, you're going to get this. But if you're going to do those things, I need X and Y and Z from you.
Right.
Whatever that may be. And, sometimes it just happens organically and naturally, and, you just hit it off with a certain contractor, and their business grows, and you're there, for the ride. But then there's other times where it's just like everything's like pulling teeth, and commitments get broken and stuff like that. And that's when it sucks, right? Because you got to go in there and you got to say, hey, listen, I've heard you're not, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. I heard, you have I drove by a big, condo project, and I saw you using another brand, that sort of stuff. And that's when things get really kind of
Sure.
can get sideways, and that sucks, because there's really not a lot. Well, when you're a manufacturer's rep, like, what the hell are you going to do? You can't do anything except be pissed.
Right.
And it's like, you don't want to go out and like sign up someone new or take their arch enemy on or something like that and sign them up and give them all the same program. Like, you don't want to do that, but
Right.
you also want to like get the relationship with back in, and like, hey, how do we get this partnership kind of back on track? So it's a tough thing sometimes to really kind of balance all that stuff. And then sometimes you get to be such good friends with some of these people when they're not doing what they are supposed to be doing, or what's kind of corporately mandated. It gets real difficult when you got to walk in there and you're like, hey man, I got to boot you out of the program. You're not doing this. Your insurance isn't great. I've heard, hearing rumblings on the street. You're not doing the right things, here you
Right.
don't, your insurance lapse, whatever the case may be, those are all difficult conversations. Those are tough to have with people that you're, friendly with.
Right.
Those are really difficult conversations to have when you're friends with people. So
How
I
important is
don't,
it?
I
Oh, I'm
don't
sorry. Go
miss
ahead.
those days.
I don't miss those
I
days.
said, I don't miss those days, man. I don't miss that.
Now, you mentioned a scenario where you drive by, they're installing something else, right? Now, is that something that
Hmm.
could be addressed on the front end? Because you said you do certainteed, but if a customer wants, like, I have this GAF HDZ shingle I want installed, you're like, hey, I'll install it.
Hmm.
So is that something where just
Yeah,
be transparent on the front end with your rep, like, hey, while we're going to do this and we're going to stick to our end of the deal, I want you to know that, like, if a customer insists on wanting a shingle, I'm not going to force a
of
shingle down their
course.
throat. Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and I think most manufacturers reps, if they're getting, 80 to 90% of your business, I think they're very, very, very happy with that. But there's always going to be that one homeowner that wants something different, or we've had a couple people lately who are just like, and I don't know where they're getting their information from. They're just like, hey, I want this, and I'm like, do you?
Why?
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, who sold you? Because I want to hire them if they manage to sell you that. And again, I'm not gonna name names,
Of
but
course.
there's some stuff out there that is just trash, and
Right.
I wouldn't want to have that installed on my worst enemy's home. But uh, if that's a situation where that's what someone wants, then hey, go for it, knock yourself out, and we can do a lot of things. There's certain stuff would really try to, but it's funny. I had a customer who that reminds me. I had a customer back in Massachusetts who he had it specifically on his contract that if you chose a certain brand of shingle, that his warranty ended the day they were done with the roof. He goes, I uphold, and he would call it out. I uphold all professional standards. We will install your roof the same way as we would any other brand. But I have found that this manufacturer, in my 30 years of business, does not honor their warranties, has no problem screwing over a homeowner, and your warranty ends the second the last nail goes in on this job. And it could not have been any more clear. And made them initial it and sign it and like all this stuff. And it's like, oh my god! But that's what he would do because he just knew that, hey, this is just. But that particular brand of shingles was very, very popular at that time, and it was just really not what you wanted to see. So, but I thought that was very smart by him.
I mean, it is, right? Like, be honest, be forthright, and let them know, like, what to
For
expect.
sure.
Like, hey, if you're going to do this,
Yeah,
expect this, and, like, you got to be okay with that. And he's okay with losing the job if they're not okay with that stipulation, right?
for sure.
Which there's a
For
risk
sure.
to that
For
for
sure.
his revenue, but at the end of the day, his reputation's not going to go to shit because he refuses to, go back
Exactly.
and, right. I like this guy. I don't know who he is, but I like him. And if you still talk to him, tell
Yeah,
him I said
good
hi.
man.
Yeah.
I will.
How important is it
Good man.
to, like, should contractors shop for different relationships for manufacturers, suppliers, and if so, how frequently should they do that?
I don't know, man. That's a tough one. Uh, I have heard. I know some companies. Some companies they would do this every year. Um, but it's really hard to switch. It's
Yeah.
really difficult. You gotta change all your quote templates. You gotta get all your certifications and stuff like that in line. Like it's tough to switch. Um, But I think, there's always that natural inclination like, oh man, I wonder if the grass is greener. I wonder if so and so's getting a ton more sales of by using, this brand or this brand or this brand. And I just never found that to be the case. Like, I think if you're a company, you can you can do what you need to do and you can form your story, get your credentials in line, get your story, your customer story set, and have a really good product that you feel comfortable with. Um, there's certain ones that I just never understood why people would want to do that every year. Now, some people are shopping, they're shopping for a rebate, uh, which is cool. Hey, I get it. I understand. I know that's part of it. But there's other companies where it's like every like 3 to 5 years, hey, we're gonna take a look. We're gonna interview different vendors. We're gonna check things out.
Yeah.
And I always kind of like that because, especially as a customer that I was working with for a long time, I always liked that because I would feel good and be like, hey man, you know me, you know how we deal with things, you know how I take care of you guys, that time we went fishing, the blah, 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 blah. I took care of Mrs. Jones, took care of Mr. Stearns' house, whatever the case may be, you could really do what you needed to do and really take care of them. But uh, sometimes that actually kind of solidified things where it's like, oh, I wonder if the grass is greener on the other side. Well, it ain't. It isn't. So, but I think everyone, there's always that natural link. And don't get me wrong, like I look at some manufacturers, like literature pieces and their samples and some of their colors and stuff. I'm like, damn, man, this looks good. This will
Yeah.
look really good on the house. But then it's like, okay, if someone really wants something different or like a really cool look, like I'll hook them up with that. But I'm not gonna get too far in the weeds with certain things because it's just too much. It's such a pain in the ass to switch and to, like I said, to just learn new language and winter guard to weather watch to weather law. I mean, it's like Jesus. I got too much. I got a limited space up here
Right.
for trade names of different products. Like I got to maximize whatever I get, whatever spots I have left available up
That
here.
makes
So,
sense.
you know, yeah.
What's the toughest lesson you've learned in business since you started?
Um. Wow. Toughest lesson. Um. I think saying no, number one. Uh. You know, that's gonna save you and avert many crises that will pop up. I think that's really number one. Say no. You've got to have really good installation crews, and you got to take care of them. You know, whether it's spending when you go to the grocery store, buy a case of Red Bull or buy a couple cases of extra water. Put those things on ice and show up to a job site with like ice down, Gatorades and Monster energy drinks, or Red Bulls, or whatever your crew likes. Whatever that is, find out what it is, and if you show up to a job site like that, then they will go the extra mile for you. Like there is no doubt. So always take care of your crews. Learn to say no to people, and I know it gets talked about a lot on many different podcasts and things like that, and whatever else. There's actually two more. Avoid the bright shiny thing. Like just focus on like implementing like 1 to 3 depending on your bandwidth, new things. Integrate those in every year if you can do that. I think my first year, man, I went all in. Like I bought so much shit that I didn't use, and I wasted so much money and time, and just sitting there like, oh, this is gonna be great, and it's like, oh, I never did any of it. Like
Right.
I just didn't have the bandwidth for it. It's only me, and I just don't have the time. And you're sitting there at the end of the day, and like I'll never forget, chipping ice dams one day out of people's gutters all day. Trying to stop leaks and things like that, and then like sitting there freezing my ass off. Like I'm gonna write a blog about, this is when I did my own website. Like I'm gonna write a blog about, about ice dams. It's like, what the hell was I thinking? It's just so stupid. But that's what you had to do. And then the kind of the most important thing, and I know, like I said, I know it gets talked about a lot, is really understanding the health of your business financially and understanding where you're at in terms of what are you spending, what are you bringing in, what can you afford to pay yourself, what can you afford to pay someone else, how you're going to pay them, whether it's Are they 1099? Are they W-2? Whatever the case may be, you need to really get that part figured out and make sure your business is very compliant. There are certain, not only obviously numbers are important, but there are certain locales that are very tight on who can work for you, when they can work, what classification do they have to have. You got to know where you're working's rules and regulations really well, and you got to operate within them and really keep that together, because that's really important as well.
I think those are some really good lessons to have learned, and I think they'll be very helpful to people that are listening.
I hope so. Hopefully no one makes the same mistake I made, or made some of the mistakes I've made. Hopefully no one does that.
Well, let's hope. We'll cross our fingers and pray for the best. Do you have any questions for me?
Well, Mike, there has been a lot lately at press time. A lot of, I would call it hate, but it's more like frustration with marketing companies online. There seems to be a lot of, how am I getting leads? I spent this, I'm not getting this, whatever the case may be. You asked me about interviewing shingle manufacturers. Walk me through interviewing a digital marketing company to help grow and scale your roofing company.
Okay, what side of it do you want me to play? You want me to be the roofer? Or you want me to be the marketing?
I don't really want to role. I don't really want to role
okay.
play, man. It's almost 5 o'clock, dude. I'm going on.
All right, he's all role played out, folks.
I don't have much.
Got it. No, all right, so
I can if you want to.
No,
but
it's
I mean,
fine.
like, what to you? What makes a good partner for certain companies?
Yeah. So like track record, right? So, and I don't mean just like, oh, I saw 4 people tag this guy on Facebook. Like, I'm definitely just going to give him my money. Like, that should, there's a lot of indicators, right, that you should take into consideration when making investments, right? And we'll stick to marketing, because I'm definitely not a finance guy, and I'm definitely not proficient in investing. In fact, my crypto's down like 10 grand since I first bought it. So I'm pretty inept when it comes to that. But
so someone better sign up at the end of this, is what he's saying.
Yeah, seriously. Click the link below. I think track record is important. I don't think that's something that you should only rest on, though, because there's a lot of legacy brands out there, right? Companies that did really well for a long time, and then they fall off, and they're not what they were at one time, right? So they may have some people saying some good things, but they've kind of devolved into less than what they were, and maybe you succumb to that experience and lackluster performance because of it. So maybe look at reviews, sort them by most recently. Ask to talk to the people that they work with, right? And ask them questions, right? Don't let them just necessarily steer the conversation in a way that paints this person in the most beautiful light possible. Come in with intentional questions to ask that person that you're interviewing. I'd recommend maybe doing somebody who had just recently signed up, maybe the last 60 days, someone that's been with them for 6 months, someone that's been with them for a year plus, maybe 2 years, so that you can see kind of like, hey, because a lot of people have a tendency like, hey, sign the contract, then we're moving on. Okay. And that can result in a shitty experience. Or like, hey, during the first 6 months, we're going to make sure we take extra special care of our customers. And then, they kind of lose focus and then they're kind of brushed to the side for the new customers and whatnot. And you don't want to necessarily for that to be the case. So that's something that I would definitely take a look at. Ask them. I made a piece of content, like 18 questions to ask a marketing company before hiring them, right? And there's a lot of good stuff within that video. The video quality sucks, by the way, but if you go to the Ascend Digital Agency YouTube channel, you can watch a really shitty quality video with really good information. And I sat down. It was like 7 o'clock. I was sitting in my office. It was like one of the first nights I was actually in an office and not at Starbucks or my cubicle. And I was like, what are all the things?
It's a great feeling to be in your own space, man.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. But I sat there and I thought, like, what are the things that I most recently hear of why people are reaching out to us, right? Because we're usually the second or third company that a customer's or prospective customers reaching out to, and it's because we're more expensive. Like, honestly, we're at the top end as far as what it's going to cost to work with us, but we provide what I think is exceptional value. So with that being said, I made these, and it's things like, hey, do I own my Google Analytics? So if you don't know what Google Analytics are, they're going to be the gauge to give you all the key performance indicators for website traffic, where traffic's coming from, so you can take data and try to understand like what's going on with your website and things around it. Do you own your website? Like a lot of companies, they sell you a website, but you actually lease it, right? You're making small monthly payments, and it's attractive because they're not charging you a $10,000 setup fee. They're not charging you $25,000 for the website, but you don't own anything, right? And they're not necessarily always forthright with the fact that, hey, you don't actually own this. They get you excited about a website, and you get a website, you can check it off the box. You know, the problem is 2 years later, you go to leave that company, and now you don't realize that you didn't own the website this entire time. Make it even worse, like the domain. Make sure you own your domain. Like if you're going to work with a marketing company and you're a new company, buy your domain from GoDaddy, right? Own your domain, then give them access, because any type of work, if you buy a website, it's going to be associated with that domain, because otherwise the marketing company can hold you hostage, right? Oh, you want to leave? You've been with us for 3 years. I'd hate to see all this go away because we actually own your domain. Now, they may not word it that way, but essentially a lot of the times that's kind of the standoff that you end up in. And you're not, like, if I'm negotiating, I want to be in a position of leverage and strength, and you're definitely not in a position of strength there. So don't let that happen to you. No. Do you own your ad account? That's another big one. A lot of agencies, and there's not necessarily anything wrong with this, but just knowing is what's important. A lot of agencies have like an agency ad account where they run all their stuff through, and they bill it to their card, and their customers pay them for the ad account or their ad spend and the management. And then there's some agencies that'll just say, hey, give us access to your ad account. We'll build out your campaigns. And one's more transparent than the other, right? If I tell you, Drew, hey, we're going to spend $10,000 a month, $120K a year, this is your management fee. You just pay us our management fee, and you're going to see Google actually charging your credit card. You know exactly what's being spent. There's never any question if there's any tricks or smoke and mirrors that are at play. I hate to say it, but I've seen it happen, right? Like there's literally softwares where you can say, hey,
it happens a lot.
You can literally link up an ad account and be like, hey, mark this up 10%, so it makes everything inflated by 10%. Your spend, your convert, like everything, right? And it's crazy that shit like that exists, but it does. So transparency is super important. Make sure you like talking to the fucking people, right? Like, and I'm going to put it on the roofers right now that are listening. Like, you have a responsibility to your company and the people within it to make sure that you take this shit seriously, right? You can't just say, hey, Mike, I'm going to give you this handful of money and, like, make my problems go away. That's not how it fucking works. And it's not going to work like that with me, with Tim, with any other, like, reputable marketing company. It's a two-way street. You have to be invested in it. So make sure that if you're forging a relationship that's going to be long-term, make sure you can tolerate talking to the person, because there's plenty of places that have good food that I won't go back to because the experience sucked or the people suck there. And I'm like, I don't care how good the steak was. I can't fucking stand those people. Sorry. And I love steak, right? Big steak guy. Give me a ribeye, medium rare. All right. Maybe a little charred seasoning on it, like Pittsburgh style or something. I mean, I'm a sucker for it, but if I
like that too.
Yeah, that's maybe one time when I'm in Columbus, we'll grab a steak. If you got a good spot, we can go to.
Hey, dude, I'm from upstate New York. I'll get back to Buffalo. I'll take you.
I'll bring you to Buffalo Chop House. For me, it's the best ribeye in town.
Dude, I used to stay. So back in my GAF days, when I first started, Buffalo was part of my territory. And I used to go to a place in Cheektowaga called Friar's Table.
Oh yeah, it was my dad's favorite restaurant.
Dude, it was so great, but now I guess it's out of business. So.
Yeah, I never got to experience it, but I heard many stories.
That was a good spot.
Yeah.
That was a good spot.
Have you had the Chop House ribeye?
That was a good spot. I have not.
Oh,
I have not.
Buddy.
But I will. Listen, don't tempt me with a good time. I will get myself up there.
Listen, fuck around and find out. I'll scrounge together a couple coins and figure out how I can. And maybe we do a live broadcast.
Couple shekels.
Yeah, get some shekels together.
That way it's a business meal.
Exactly. Get audited. They're like, sir, a $500 meal. It was for business. I actually have a podcast about it. Go check it out.
Here's the video.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I just say one thing based on what you said earlier?
For sure.
My first year in business, I built my own website because I got quoted like astronomical numbers, and I was like, "Holy crap! I can't believe how much this stuff costs." So I built my own website. But I partnered with a company for 6-ish months ish, and I found out, like what you said, I did not own my Google Analytics. Thankfully, I held on to my page, even though they were trying to get that from me as well. I just never did for whatever reason. Call it, you know, call it, you know, being smart for once. But they, you know, there was no data with that. There was no, hey, I need this back, and it was like mush, basically, like
Yeah.
all gone. So, I've made those mistakes. I've paid the people, and it's like, hey, we're gonna get you, however many, can you handle, can you handle an extra, 15 jobs a month?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm a new company. Fuck yeah,
Yeah.
I got
Let's
nothing else
get
to
it.
do. The phone ain't ringing
Anytime.
otherwise. Like, fuck yeah, what can we do? And there's these Facebook. Oh, it was just like the word. I will never forget calling these people who put their names in these forms on Facebook and being like, "Yeah, my name is Drew with Best Exteriors Inc. You filled out some information on the site." I didn't do that. It's like, "Oh yeah, are you the guy giving away the free roof or the showcase roof in my area?" And I'm like, am I?"
Do what
And it
now?
was, yeah, it's like we're giving away free roofs. Like this motherfuckers, like the stuff that they put on these
Hot
forms.
lead.
It's like, and you're not consulted at all about any of this. It's
Yeah.
just like, hey, click here for a free roof. Like who wouldn't put in their information? And it's like, oh my god, like So I've made all those mistakes. So what Mike was saying earlier is definitely extraordinarily valid.
Yeah, and I would say that like it's not always malicious intent either. Like a lot of the times, like the sales rep for these
No,
companies, they don't even know like what Google Analytics are. They're
no,
corporate trained sales reps. They're
they're
like,
just there to sell.
yeah, here's a 10-page script. Here's the situations you're going to come across. Here's your objections. Here's how you're going to overcome those objections. These are trial closes. Like this is like a day in your life of a
You,
sales pitch. And they just don't
yep,
have access to the information. But at the end of the day, whether it's malicious intent or it's ignorance, right? It's like murder versus manslaughter. Like you're still going to fucking jail. Like there's still going to be a shitty outcome. It is, right?
yeah,
It's the only
exactly. No,
difference.
that's very true. That's very true. It's yeah, somehow, some way, something didn't go right for
Yeah.
someone. But yeah, it's all those guys. It's like Boiler Room. Those dudes are in cubicles and they're just calling. It's like, damn,
Fucking Boiler Room. That's a
like
great movie, by the way. If you're tuning into this
it's a
and you
great
haven't seen
movie.
Boiler Room, go
Haven't
take a
seen. Yeah, tune in. Carve out a couple hours. That's a good one. That's
yeah. Who's
all
past
those
their Series
actors when they
7
were
here?
so young too.
All right, get the fuck out.
We
No, I'm
don't want
serious.
anyone
Leave.
ethical in
Yeah.
here.
Oh, so good.
I haven't seen that in a long time
And you made a really good point too, right? Like not all leads are created equally, and if something's too good, sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Like investigate like outrageous claims that people are making to you in order to
Yes.
make you try to feel compelled to buy their product or their service. Because there are plenty of like I can put together any type of like Google Data Studio report or analytics to overly inflate and make you fucking buy anything I want you to buy from me. But at the end of the day, like that's not the type of company that we are. But there are a lot of unfortunately nefarious
There's
actors
a
in the
ton of
marketing
those
space.
people. Yeah.
So just or call me, give me a shout. If you've got questions, slide in the DMs, hit me up. I'll give you objective feedback if nothing else. After I answer your questions, I'll probably tell you should pay me $1,500 to spend a couple hours with me, and then I can give you like a lot of information that'll really help you. But first one's free. You got it here. It's being recorded, so there you go.
It's on the house.
On the house. Lead with value. Dude, this was amazing. I had such a good time, and I think there was so much in here that's going to help all the folks listening. Hopefully, there's more than like one or two people listening. Good-looking
I
guy
hope
like
so.
yourself,
I hope
I
so
think
too.
will attract a big crowd.
Hey,
Yeah.
you're the one with the good beard and the good hair, man.
Listen, dude.
I'm noticing that the gray is being overshadowed here and really kind of losing ground. So it's business must be going. Business must be going well if the grays are outnumbering the dark browns and blacks. So, but no, and I mean, hey, like Mike was saying, if someone has a question, I'm far from an expert. I made 100,000 mistakes. I'll make a shitload more. But if you're brand new and you have questions or something I can help you with or anything like that, feel free, again, message me. I'm out there. I'm more than happy to help. Again, and if I can't help you, I'll tell you who to call to maybe find some help because some stuff I'm just not an expert in. Believe it or not.
And that's why you're my guy. One big ecosystem of people trying to help others. That's what we're about here. So thank you, Drew. Thank you to all the listeners. Thank you to Rupert for help making this possible. And we gone.